Hello, friends and family. How are you tonight? It is Renee and Glenn with Heart Talks. Thank you for joining us. It is now 6:30. It's time for us to get into it. Time
What's
for
one?
us to get into it. Welcome to this gloomy day, but blessed. It is definitely a blessed day. Every day is going to be a good day, whether gloomy or not, right?
Yeah.
Because we are living and thriving no matter what the circumstances are. We're just going to live in the now. So that is our topic for tonight. It is about living in the now, living in the dash. And when Glenn brought this topic up to me, the first thing I did was I was like, in the dash, in the dash. So, oh yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I might sound crazy, but you know what? I'm in these places right now where I don't care about being perfect anymore. I'm going to just go ahead and admit I did not know what that meant. So I went and Googled, everybody knew but me. So I went and Googled that. And when I Googled it, guess what? I figured out that the dash is the most important place in the date, from the date that we were born to the date that we expire. It is the most important piece of our life. The day you were born is definitely not as essential as the days that you live between in that dash. And so tonight's topic is about living, and not just living, but thriving during that time. Tonight, when Glenn, I don't know if you all saw Glenn do Advent. He did a talk on Advent. And one of the things that he said on the Advent talk that I love to hear him say, is your purpose meeting the world's needs? Are your gifts meeting the world's needs? Are you an impact? Are you being impactful through the people you meet? Are you making a difference in people's lives? You can give people $1 million. Guess what? But are you living? Are you being an impact in their lives through your gifts? All right. And we're not talking about money. We're talking about through what God gave you, what's inside of you, those things. So tonight, Glenn is going to bless us with the gift of talking about how do we thriving during the dash, thriving in the dash, thriving in the now, living out every moment so that it is meaningful in this world.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great talk we had today with the Advent co-working community. And we talked about Plan B sucks, but really, it was relevant to this conversation as well when we talk about thriving in the dash. I think what what really hits me in many cases sometimes is I just realize that, I'm in the dash. I'm in the sweet space. Um, there's a moment, there's a beginning, and then there's an end. But really, the dash that's our opportunity. That's our sweet space. And so, I think I really want to talk about a couple of things about living in the dash. I think what came to me is that we have, we go through seasons, um, but we have to go through our seasons in order to understand how to really read the weather report. And I
Mhm.
want people to really understand that, people say, why me? Why this? Why now? Um, the dash is about an ebb and flow. It's about a valley and the mountaintop. It's about the different seasons. And I think that if we learn to live in the dash, then we don't have to live to learn. Um, we can really understand ultimately how to read the weather report. We can get through those seasons and understand what those seasons are about, and that's living in the dash. I think because we're so advanced as humans in our intelligence, uh, we outthink ourselves. We outsmart ourselves. Um, it's pretty simple, actually. There's the beginning, there's the middle, and then there's the end. Right now we're in the middle. We're in the dash. And if you aren't taking the opportunity in every single moment, even in the moments where you have to kind of check yourself to realize that you are in the second the second phase, the second level. The third level is the end. And so you got to live the hell out of this one. This is it. Thrive in this level, thrive in the dash.
You know what, Glenn? We always talk about the things that we talk about every night: gratitude, purpose, love. Um, and we talk about extreme gratitude, and we talk about, intentional purpose, and we talk about resilient love. All of that is about making it through the challenges of life. So when we talk about thriving in that dash, we're talking about living every single moment as if we will expire in the next moment, as if we will never get, which we won't, we'll never get those moments back, but as if we're going to die tomorrow. Today you talked about in the Advent special about Plan B Sucks, you talked about your experience, you know, at the hospital. And one of the things in the book that you said that has stood out to me was that you had the grace of notification of
Yep.
when you might expire. You might have the grace of notification, and people having the grace of notification. But the unfortunate piece is no one can notify us of the last day. They could tell you, you know what, you're gonna die tomorrow. Do whatever you want in 24 hours because you're gonna die tomorrow. We'd be scrambling trying to live out our bucket list, right? All right, but if we don't know, let's just say we don't make it, like we live past that 24 hours, what would we do to ensure that within that 24 hours, that no matter what obstacles we make it through, no matter what, that face us, no matter what conflict faces us, that throughout that conflict, we're still living life as if the next moment is our last moment.
Yeah, I mean, you can flip it over too. You can flip it in a more positive light as well. You can figure out like live this moment is as if this is the most present moment. And I can simplify it really. It doesn't have to necessarily be about mortality, but it can also be about something as simple as this morning. I was having a real bad morning. So having a real bad morning, I was processing, how bad I was feeling. Um, it sucks, and I'm not in a good mood. I wasn't really getting a good headspace. Definitely wasn't in a good heart space. I processed it a little bit more. I checked myself like I normally do, and I was like, this isn't about the other person. This is really about you. This is about how you feel, and basically what's happening is you're feeling a certain way, and so because you're feeling a certain way, Glenn, you're pushing it off on another person. Um, and in these moments that you're feeling this way, Glenn, you're missing your present. I asked myself, I said, do you want to choose to continue to feel this way when really this isn't about anybody else? This is really only about you. Or do you want to just go ahead and choose happy? Now, I'm not saying every choice is that simple. But what I am saying is in that moment, I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and choose happy. And I think that, though every moment isn't that simple, I understand. But I think in many cases, in many moments, the process, the thought process of that, right, going from A to B is that simple though. And understanding that why waste time in stuff that you created yourself? Like, why waste time in stuff that you can't control? Why waste time in things that literally that are not going to shift unless you make the choice to shift from it? And
Mhm.
I think, for us, again, that overthinker in us, that super hyper intelligence. We desire to get resolution to things that need no resolution. All it needs is a different choice. Choosing from I had to make a choice this morning to not wallow in my self pity. And I just decided in that moment, I'm going to go ahead and be happy. And literally, that's how it happened. It literally, I was like, all right, I'm happy now. Because I had to let it go, other than being self centered, egotistical, and wallowing and holding on to something that I created. It was all through my creation. That's being in the present. That's taking advantage of your dash. It's not going to be as, as maybe as transformational as something, whatever you may be. It was as simple as literally just taking a moment and going from self wallow and self pity to self empowered and back to happy. Simple.
Now, you just said a word, A, on all of that. But B, you just said a word about self empowerment. Us taking back we talk about taking the control, and we think that holding on to stuff is having control, but really that means you're out of control. The self-empowerment comes when you choose the more natural of living through, pushing through, and making sure that your challenges don't overwhelm your current success, your current abundance, what is actually good and what's amazing inside of you, and what's in front of you to to be. And it's so interesting, you talked about this morning. Your this morning was my yesterday morning. And it was so interesting. I woke up and I was just in a bad mood. I was so mean to Carter. And let me tell you, he'll tell you all about it. Because when we got in the car, he said, "Mommy, can I sit up front with you this morning? We're waiting on the carpool line." I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So he sat up front. He said, "What was going on with you this morning?" He said, "Why were you being mean to me?" And I said, "You know what, Carter?" And I started trying to explain. He cut me off and just started praying. He started saying the Lord's Prayer. And I just joined in because I thought, wow. And then afterwards, he said, "Now you have to pray for me." And it was in that moment that I thought, what are you mad about? What is happening with you right now? Look at this blessing in front of you. Like, look at this blessing in front of me. It was almost like God was saying, keep your eyes focused on the prize. Like keep it focused. And I think that if we can just be present, be open, and be, as you talked about last week, emotional in our moments that really matter, then those moments that we're just mad about won't even matter, because then you can appreciate what's right in front of you. I thank you so much for sharing that story, because it really made and put together what was happening with me yesterday, and kind of painted a beautiful picture of, listen, it really is just about self-empowering and just focusing on the greatness that is in front of us, because that's what's natural.
Yeah, I appreciate that story. Jim jumped in. Hey, Jim, how you doing? He said we get to choose and experiment to discover what works best on our heart and service level. Yeah, it's totally correct, right? We choose. We make
choose.
choices. I think the myth though is that because we may be enlightened to a point to understand, like, okay, this is how we do it and this is why we do it, what have you, that we're not struck with the same, instances and in circumstances where we're just in a funk, right? I mean, we just it happens to us all, and I think that's why we have to ensure that we practice more so than anything and are open to understanding that we have to build those muscles and work those muscles and and really um, to understand that it's not just activated at any given time. We have to be present in seeing it and feeling it and knowing, excuse me, and knowing that some like this isn't like this isn't what I want right now. I don't want to be in this angry space. I don't want to be person, and again, emotions are good, anger, all these emotions are good. They're triggers, they're indicators. And I think indicators are like more than anything, but I think they're indicators of something that we can pause and kind of figure out what is an indicator of. Uh, I think more so what I would say to anyone when we talk about thriving in the dash is really ultimately, I mean, I can't say it I don't know how many different ways you can say it. Like, we're in it. Like, we are in it. And I don't know what it is for somebody else, what it takes for somebody else, but all it's taken for me over the past couple of years is to see people that I know, love, care about, at least or close to me, at least, like I know personally, who are not here anymore,
Mm.
who've left here too soon, and that's all it really took for me. Honestly, it took that, but it also took my own mortality, like seeing myself in the space of I'm maybe about to receive notification like you have an end date, yes, but we know more likely than what your end date may be. Uh,
Mhm.
I think that if we took time to pause, realizing that there are three phases of life, and we are in the second. We are the living. We are in the second. And most things that we spend time on, most things are things that add no value as far as things that we can't control, these things that bring us down, things that make us unhappy. Most of those things have add no value. They add no value to our dash. And most things are easily let go. And I won't say everything, but most things are actually. I believe most things that we experience in our lives are easily let go. Uh, and we have to practice that. We have to practice letting it go. And thriving in our dash. Thriving is as simple as joy. Thriving isn't necessarily about how much money and job and relationship. No, thriving is your inner peace and joy. Are you thriving in your dash? It's really about what kind of peace do you have? What kind of joy do you have? Are you holding on to things that you can't control? Are you creating things that are made up and fictitious? I was mad at somebody and I realized it wasn't really mad at them. I was ashamed about myself, my own actions. I was ashamed of something I had done.
Mm.
And I realized that shame is dangerous. And I realized at
Mhm.
the moment, I realized two things. One, I didn't need to be mad at them. And two, I didn't need to be shamed.
Mhm. That's true. And what do you say? You always say this. You say two things can be true at the same time.
Two things were true at the same time. And
Two
those
things
two
are
things
true
were
at the
true.
same time.
They were
Yeah,
true. I
like,
didn't need to be mad. I didn't need to be shamed.
yeah. And that's, oh my God, that's so essential that we realize that though. Even when we're talking about, oh, that you just hit something. And I want to go back to forgiveness again, because that tends to take us out of our joy. It tends to be the biggest weight I think that we have. But you talked about how we just talked about how two things can be true at the same time. I didn't need to feel shame, but I also didn't need to be, mad. I mean, I didn't need to feel shame, but I also didn't need to be mad. And I think what people need to realize is that whenever we forgiveness is not about what's right, about what's wrong. It takes so much from our thriving. It just really rips us of that extreme, that happiness that we can experience. It takes us out of that extreme gratitude, and it definitely removes us from that intentional purpose. um because what we need to realize is that you could have a very good reason to be angry at somebody, but you also, but they also could be right. Or you could have a good reason to be angry at somebody, but they also could be wrong. But just realizing that because two things can be true at the same time, it also means that what really matters in the end is what you're holding on to taking you out of displacing you from the ability to thrive? Is it removing you out of your, is it taking you away from your purpose? Is it killing your ability to be grateful for the things you do have? So that's what I think that we need to realize moving forward in our lives and thriving in the now, is that focusing on the past will kill us and worrying about the future will do the same equally.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I can't say it enough, but it all goes back for me to one thing. We talk about gratitude, purpose, and love, but at the same time, I will say that absent of purpose and love, I mean, it starts with one thing. It starts with gratitude. I think, when I'm in those moments, I easily am able to shift and just say, listen, look around you. Just look around you. Um, you know, come on, man. What are you really mad about? What are you really upset about? And I think, when we're able to shift from just gratitude, being grateful, to grateful living, and I mean that in all things. I mean, who's grateful about taking out the trash? Are you grateful about taking, because the trash is an indicator of something. If you can't find gratitude in the trash, let me help you. Trash is the stuff that came from the food that you were eating, the napkins that you had to use, the cups that you threw away that you had to drink something in. Trash is the debris and the stuff that was the after effects of something that was blessing you, put in your stomach. Are you grateful? Are you grateful for the trash? You know, and you know, are you grateful for the dishes that you have to wash? Are you grateful for the expensive gas that you get to put in your car that gets you places where people riding the bus left and right, you driving past them? I think that when we're driving in the dash, I think the easiest thing to really capture and put your finger on it, if you really want to thrive in the dash, is just first and foremost, start finding gratitude in all things.
Mm-hmm.
All things. The
Mm-hmm.
things that you don't want to do, mostly, find gratitude in those things. Because one day you won't be able to do them at all. You know, find gratitude in the things that make you upset. Find gratitude in the things that you don't really want to do. Gratitude in the things that make you feel frustrated sometimes. That's that's how we thrive in the dash. You got to know that everything that we do every single day is an indicator of something greater that we should be grateful for. Let me see.
Morris,
Mars, I see what you're talking about, bro.
when
What's
I
going on?
think, I think. Yes, Morris.
I see what you're saying, bro. You better talk about it.
When I
Praise God.
think, I think. Ooh, I love it.
Jim
Yes.
says, Jim says, as long as we are growing, we will be crashing through our reactions to understand how to de-trigger them. These three things are intertwined: loving, learning, healing. Each one depends on the other two. Healing the missteps takes loving and learning, paying attention and gratitude for the opportunity to grow closer.
Amen. Thank you,
Um,
Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Another comment.
Okay.
What happens when the hurt is displaced with anger? Yeah, I mean, I think that goes both ways. I think anger gets displaced with hurt. Hurt gets Place with anger. And I think that there's nothing wrong with either. Nothing wrong with hurt. Nothing wrong with anger. I would say actually you can find something in both. You know, Pema Chodron talks about the cool emptiness, the space of where where we have discomfort, where we're uncomfortable, where we don't want to face that hurt, we don't want to face that anger. He says it's a place of cool emptiness. It's a place where the learning happens. Go back to what Jim just talked about. It's a place where learning happens, and it's a place where many of us is trying to escape from. But if we get present in that space of cool emptiness, it's empty. It feels empty, right? But it's cool. It's cool because it's soothing. Soothing because it's a learning space. The hurt and the anger space is a learning space. This morning when I was hurt and angry this morning, it was a learning space. I reminded myself of something that one, I wasn't really angry at someone else. I was really shamed in myself. And then I realized that I didn't need to be shaming myself, that what I had been confronted with was something of a choice. And some of the choice, well, these were some of the consequences based off that choice. So I think, to answer that question, what happens when the hurt is displaced with anger? Then get present with it. Get present with the hurt. Get present with the anger. Ask yourself, why is it here? It's here for a reason. It indicates something. It's an indicator.
Yeah, you always talk about it being an indicator of, of emotion. And I think that so many of us run from those indicators. And that's when we choose to disappear on our emotions. And we decide that, it feels better to be displaced from them because then we don't have to feel. But I think I've talked about this before where, scientists say that heartbreak, your body can't decipher the difference between a gunshot wound and heartbreak. Your brain doesn't delineate between the two. And what we need to realize is that just as a gunshot wound or a stab wound or being hurt physically, a cut, an open wound would need to get antibiotics, to be stitched, so that it doesn't get infected, then so does the open wounds of our heart also need to be dealt with. Ignoring it will only cause an infection in which will spread to the people that we love or the people who have been placed in our lives to heal us, to help us move forward in our purpose. So we have to address those feelings by paying attention to those indicators. God gave us those indicators to help us to realize when it's time to sit and listen and dissolve the lessons that are to be learned from our heart, our hurt, and our anger.
I think that's a great analogy. I think that our body speaks to us, right? Mars just wrote in the comments. He said it wasn't until I was close to death and overcame that situation that thanks became real. Amen, brother. When things became real, when you realize that I was sitting in that hospital myself, thinking to myself, what am I really scared of? It's not that we're scared of death. We know there's a beginning, middle, and an end. Most of us who are logical and practical understand that there's a beginning, middle, and end. It wasn't that I was really scared of death. No, I was scared of dying full. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever thought about it, but are you really scared of death? Are you scared of dying full? Dying full. That's something that scared the hell out of me. And in that moment, I realized that that's what I was really scared of. I was really scared of not living in God's will. I was scared of not giving God's gift to the world that God had put in me. I was scared of not doing my job. And that's a fear that's beyond any other fear. And I said, I don't want to live that fear anymore. That was an awakening fear that But now when people talk to me, I say, no, I still I want to be here. I still got things I want to do, but I'm in a way better place.
Mm.
I'm in a way better place. And I want people to ask themselves that question. What are you really scared of? You know there's a beginning, a middle, and the end. If there's fear in your heart about leaving, when you think about dying, if there's a pause in your thought process, what's the pause really about? Are you scared of dying full, or do you want to live full and die empty? I think most of us want to live full and die empty. I think if we were really honest with ourselves, that we don't want to go away with any other gift. We don't want to take the gift with us. They say, you can't take your money with you, you can't take your house with you, but you can't take your gift with you either. And if you do take it with you, then is that really the life that you want to live? You can leave your gift all here. You can leave it all on the mat. You gotta take it with you. That's the question I think I would ask.
And I think that's the question that we should leave everyone with, which is, what are you so afraid of? What is your biggest fear when faced with death? I think that's a question that you might want to journal about this week, or just take some time to think about. And if your fear is dying full, then I think that you can change it. You just, it's as simple, just make some simple changes in your life and realize that living empty is not too far from living full. It's probably one or two, and it starts with gratitude. Mm-hmm. Just look around you. We spend so much of our lives asking God for more. And his response is probably that we aren't even using the things that he's given us. We always want more, but we don't even use the things that he has given us. So I think we should leave you all tonight with the question that Glenn posed to you, which is, what is your fear of dying? What is your biggest fear of dying? And I think the next question should be, if you died today, tomorrow, whenever, if you left this earth, would you die full or would you die empty? Don't panic about it. Don't panic about it. Do something about it. That's it. Don't panic about it. Do something about it. Glenn, you want to leave us with some? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I totally agree. There's no need to panic. It's a question that we can ask ourselves. Morris shot out to say he owes God gratitude for life.
Amen, Morris. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and I just want to, again, listen, just find gratitude in the stuff that you just don't want to do. Find gratitude in the stuff that just brings you pause sometimes. Like, I don't want to. Find gratitude in that stuff. It's an indicator. And if you want to talk about thriving in the dash is about literally living a grateful life. It's about finding gratitude in all moments, in all things. And I understand that, when somebody passes away or somebody hurts you, that you can't find gratitude in that, but you can find the opportunity of gratitude in everything. Somebody may have passed and they may have left you, but you're grateful for the friendship, grateful for the relationship that you had, a job that was removed from your space that you may not have anymore. You might not find gratitude in losing your job, but you can find gratitude in relationships that you built, the opportunity that you had to learn in that space. There's an opportunity everywhere. So I would just say, just continue to live in gratitude every single moment that you can. Thanks, Mars.
Amen.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank everybody. You guys. Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. You'll be back next week at 6:30. Don't forget, journal about our questions. Send us any hot topics you'd like for us to discuss. We are always open to hearing your feedback. If you haven't already, go take the free assessment. That's a step forward in living full. take the free assessment that we have at www.myheartwork
profile.
Profile. Thank you. myheartworkprofile.com.
Thanks so much, guys. Y'all have a good one tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.